World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Like a child, you wanna keep it, but your shiny eyes reveal the simple truth.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real. It's a place like no other. You will struggle to find anywhere that is as magical, as majestic, that has so much amazing racing around it as this place does. This is one of the places where you can absolutely say, without a shadow of a doubt, this is the place where you want a win. This is a track which can never be replicated in any way, in any shape, or in any form. This is the Millionaire's Playground, and this, of course, is the fabled Monaco circuit. We are watching this live here on YouTube, on Twitch, and, of course, on Facebook as well. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, do whatever it is to make sure that you get more great content from us, World Pro Racing, as your Thrustmaster World Pro Racing F19 short series heads to its penultimate round of the championship around the most famous streets in all of sim racing. And at the moment, practice currently underway at this moment in time. It's Jake Sperry here in the commentary box for you, along for the ride, as per usual, with one Mr. Justin Mifsud on the cameras, your chief race director being Adrian Fagaio, your chief race steward is George Muscat, and we are in for a treat around this wonderful circuit, which time and time again has proven to be the place where great racing is to be found. It is the ultimate test for a racing driver to navigate these city streets and really try and hook it up as close to the barriers as possible. A couple of different iterations throughout the years, but one thing that rFactor 2 has done more than anybody else is proved to everyone just how beautiful this challenge can be when you make the run around this place. The first times in practice, they are coming up onto the board, and there are no surprises who's at the front of the field at the moment in practice. He's won every race so far by a sizable margin, and I've seen people talking about, oh, how much is Craig Baxter going to win by today? But Craig Baxter is quickest by 1.6 seconds at the moment in this practice session, ahead of Lorenzo Capellini and Fred Borden in third position. Only 10 minutes here in this practice before qualifying gets itself underway, as Baxter's going to take the straight-on route and try and just get himself going a little bit afterwards. We'd take that as the 1960s line through that section into the very, very tough braking zone there. Now into the swimming pool. He will come along and look to try and re-gear himself up for a strong lap. But this championship is by no means a completed one. We've seen how it's been 3 straight wins to start the season, but 3 straight wins to start the season does not guarantee yourself a championship. Around this place, any small mistake could prove costly, as drivers behind, like his teammate Sam Carpenter, the likes of Luis Felipe Capamagian, the Peruvian driver, they both could find themselves in a position to challenge in this race. 30 points, the margin here at the moment for Craig Baxter. He knows one thing and one thing only: a victory here today will secure the title, and there are no ifs, no buts, and no ands about it. A win gets him over the line. Luis Felipe Capamagian must score at least 4 less points because of the fact of win ratios. It's 100% at the moment for Baxter, so 4 straight wins. There is no way to catch up the wins for Capamagian. And, of course, Sam Carpenter still has an outside shot to the championship. Needs a little bit of misfortune from his teammate here today. But more importantly than that, the championship very wide open for the minor positions. They are tied for 4th place at the moment. Dean Vella and Lorenzo Capellini, they have pretty much traded exactly the same results. Konrad Zarebiec not showing last time out, so he dropped to 6th place, and I think he's not going to be here either for this one here today for this race. Alessio Spinelli then has the chance to move up through the orders, like Nick Bracci, and Matthew Galea will all be able to try and find some points as well. And this will be a very, very good challenge here today before they head to Spielberg for the final round of the championship. But there are still many things that can happen, and of course qualifying does prove to be very difficult around this place. It's a very, very quick lap here, only 68 seconds, and 68 seconds does not sound like very much at all, especially when it's the narrow street here in Monaco. It does prove to be some of the toughest challenges that these drivers will see for a fair while when it comes to this series. And of course, this series here, this Thrustmaster short series, is of course without any shadow of a doubt sponsored by Thrustmaster and is supported by Melita Gaming Malta and Visit Malta as well, a track which holds a lot of heritage, and it's at this point that we here at World Pro Racing pay our tributes to someone who has masterminded this Monaco street circuit time and time again. Of course, the passing of Sir Sterling Moss, the greatest driver never to win a Formula One World Championship. It is a shame to see such a cornerstone of racing pass away in front of us. So we offer here at World Pro Racing our sincerest condolences to the Moss family and everything that they are going through at this time. But we now find ourselves 3 minutes away from qualifying, and this is going to be interesting because we're now looking at a vehicle which has had a couple of tweaks and changes once again. The downforce levels have been slightly reduced in these vehicles, so they are going to be just a little bit more of a straight line demon, so they are going to struggle a bit more around this Monaco track. The fact that they are going to be having a little less downforce to work with than they have in prior races, but this is a very high downforce circuit. You're never going to be hitting the top gears very often. Mainly you come out of the tunnel section under the Lowe's Hotel and hit yourself on the brakes into that first chicane, which really does prove difficult, as Flavio Zongoli's proven, hitting the tyres on the outside. But then you've also got the run up the hill heading towards Casino Square, where it could be a very important place to make sure that you got the downforce in. And of course, the one drag reduction zone system on this track is of course going to be on that front stretch, which is always curving away to the right before the chapel corner of Saint Devote, which is always going to be a wondrous place to see some overtaking happen. But this is where we're going to start seeing now who really does have what it takes. The times are coming in. Sam Carpenter now finds himself with some very quick times, as a couple of drivers have just found themselves off and away before they will try and get themselves back in to make sure everything's okay for a track which is going to be incredibly difficult here today for a number of reasons, and one of which is of course the simulated reason of that being that this is Monaco. There's a number of high-rise buildings around this place which will make life incredibly difficult for everybody to deal with settings here and there, and making sure that they have all the capabilities available to run this fantastic circuit out there, with 16 drivers here today so far, looking like they want to qualify and put themselves as high as possible up on the order. We're talking about pit lane here today, as well as Alessio Spinelli comes out of the pits with 45 seconds left to go. Same could be said for Lorenzo Emili, is that this is a very, very slow pit lane around this place. There's only 37 kilometers an hour they'll be heading here, as they will look to go past the green light and give themselves the opportunity to get out and going onto circuit. But it's also a very abrupt start. Emili gets a huge tap. I believe that would have been Capamagian he's run into there. Capamagian trying to straight line the section there, and then a huge amount of contact happening. That's the danger of that pit exit. Some drivers will like to take that big narrow line and try and just extend it out wide in towards turn number one. And there we see it all going wrong for Capamagian, who cannot afford any mistakes here today after having to make a recovery after a drive-through penalty in Spain. So with practice over and done with, we'll be heading over to qualifying here at Monaco, this World Pro Racing fantastic event that we have in the offing. Everything is going to be on the line here as Baxter looks to try and cement his championship in a 5-round championship 1 round early. But you can only see it here on World Pro Racing, and of course It's going to be a very tough qualifying. Everyone's going to be close together. And we were talking about how pit exit filters in towards turn number 1 and out of turn number 1 up the run towards Casino Square. But you've also got that pit entry, which becomes very, very interesting as well. That's right off of Larascas. You move straight down to the inside. Look at the scramble to try and get onto the start first here. The likes of Baxter's there. Capellini, I believe, is going to be the first one who will go out as they wait for the green light here in pits. And there is the green light, and off they go. 15 minutes of qualifying starts now. But crucially, it's that pit entry that becomes key, because you're coming from a very slow part of the track, looking to put the power down to head towards what is traditionally the very difficult Anthony Nogues corner, which is surprisingly underrated for how difficult it is. But then you've got that pit entry, which really does jump up on you, and it is very easy to speed down pit road as into the famous Lowe's hairpin goes Luis Felipe Capellini down the hill, through the right into Portier here, this fantastic right-hand bend which heads itself into the tunnel, and is the most famous tunnel in all of racing and sim racing as well. And then you look to go down the hill on the brake into the chicane, which becomes the most important place to overtake on track. This is to back corner heading through, and now into the swimming pools. Had many iterations. That swimming pool 1, this is swimming pool 2, which has been reprofiled over a long period of time. Then into the Larascas corner comes Capellini, and this will be the start of his first flying lap. And how important will this be for the GT Omega RPM Esports driver to set the pace here, heading through Sandevot and up the hill once more in this vehicle to try and make that progress up through into the next left-hander, and then the Casino Square section, a lovely transfer section, big slide coming up over the hill, and then down once again through on the harbour side course into the Lowe's hairpin once more. Capellini out there on track. Carpenter will be behind a little bit. Baxter will be looking to try and set the opening pace as drivers here. With 16 cars on the field at the moment, they will have time to give themselves a bit of space to go out there and attack some laps. A few drivers just trying to sit and wait as well in the rear sections of the lap. Daniele Spardi giving himself a bit of room out there at the moment to give himself the best possible shot, but Capellini will be looking to set that first time, heading through that second of the 2 swimming pool chicanes into Larascas, nice and tight through that section. And Anthony Nogues there just getting himself as early on as the power lets him as he crosses the line, sets the first representative time. It's a 1:08.8 as the first call, so that's going to be key. But Craig Baxter puts half a second on top of that. Sam Carpenter jumps up into second, so Craig Baxter half a second clear at the front of the field. Zongoli moving up then into 4th place on a 1:09.7. He's 9/10 off of Capellini at the moment, and that is surprising to see just how much of a difference some of these drivers have. Alessio Spinelli, for example, is nearly 2.8 seconds off the pace at this moment in time. It seems like 1 lap pace is going to be key. It seems like the tyres today will also be a good strategy. It seems like they have just been reduced in terms of what they're able to do. Fred Borden has gone up into 6th place. Lorenzo Capellini into 5th. Lorenzo Emili now into 8th position in qualifying at the moment, with 11 minutes 40 seconds remaining on the clock right now. Everything pretty much going to be a tough and tall order. And look at what Dean Vella's got behind and in front of him at this moment in time. Nick Bracci there just behind. Craig Baxter just in front, and he is very much in that sandwich, which is not going to be key. Carpenter going for another lap over the line and does not find any improvements on a 1:08.8, so he will just pull it off at Sandevot and look for something really important to get right for his next couple of laps. Of course, street circuit, very, very few runoff areas around this place. So if you do get it wrong, most likely it's going to end up with a missing front wing, a missing tyre here or there. It will end in a disaster for the race. So it can go wrong. It will go wrong. It's a strategy race around this place, and many people will be looking at, okay, what's the right call on the strategy here today to make sure that this race goes in favour. There are no mandatory pit stops required here in this one, but we have seen all season long with the tyres that 1 stop, 2 stops have been the key to the way that this race has been run so many times before. So at the moment, Baxter, Carpenter, Capellini, Zongoli and Capellini, your top 5 at the moment, split by 1.6 seconds on the road. It seems like the top 3 and then the rest of the field at the moment is where this is going. And of course, when you talk about the heritage of this Monaco circuit, there have been so many great races that have gone around this place. Of course, you can't really talk too long about Olivier Panis's win here in 1996, when only 3 people managed to get themselves over to the end of the race in variable conditions. It's bright, sunny sun here at Monaco for this one here today. Giancarlo Villada makes his way in 11th position, his first start of the season for Giancarlo at the moment, as Matthew Galea is 7th. Now Dean Vella moves up into 5th on a 109.7. Great time by him. Capellini has improved to a 108.6, but Baxter's gone even quicker on a 108.2. So he has moved a little bit faster as well out there on track. So the times are coming down, is to be expected as this track does rubber in, and rubbers in quickly, because it is a very, very short circuit. It's only 3.7 kilometers around this place. Many laps can be put in, but it is also one of the tracks which does have one of the slowest average speeds on a Formula One calendar, and is always going to be a place where incident is rife. So we'll see lap traffic be a key factor around this place today. It's very tough to get out of the way at this track, especially. So we'll see where things go. Zongoli in 5th, but now Capellini up into 4th position on a 109.7. That's good. Vellada moves up into 9th on a 110.2. So he finds improvements. Now Nicolas is the last driver in this field who has set a lap time. He's on a 115.2, has been notably struggling. Sam Carpenter, 108.293. He moves just 0.75 of a second off of pole. So he was close. You're allowed infinite laps to get it going, but the halfway stage in qualifying is going to be over and done with in about 30 seconds. What is going to be key is once you start your lap, you may finish that lap. So when that checkered flag comes out, that becomes the big battle point that everyone will be looking at. Martin Garrido drops down to 14th place, with Sheldon Scott Muscat diving up into 13th on a 111.2. So good times there with Alessio Spinelli and Daniele Spardi in 11th and 12th. You've got Italians 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th in the field, as well as 4th and 5th. A good 6 out of the 16 today representing from Italy out there at the moment. So that's going to be a key battleground to see who will be the best of the Italian out there today. But crucially, this is going to be very telling here in terms of pace. Sam Carpenter, remember, is an outside shot for the championship, as Fred Borden jumps up into 4th position. 4 drivers on a 109.7 now, and 1.5 seconds off the pole. Fred Borden moves up into 4th position now, which is crucial. One vehicle I've just seen turned around, which is not useful. Dean Vella's another one who's just had a moment down at La Rascasse, as they have moved on through. So a few spins here and there, not helpful. I believe that was Martin Garrido who was around, as Daniele Spardi jumps up to 9th place on a 110.1. 4th down to 10th place right now, is split by half a second out on track. So a big key fight is that mid-pack. Qualifying is so key around this place. You can very seldom find the overtakes that are needed here to make those laps work. So you need to make sure it works. It doesn't for Dean Vella. He's been run into by Flavio Zongoli, and there is more issues. I believe Capellini may have been involved, or it might have been somebody else there through that section. I didn't quite catch who it was. I don't think that it was Capellini through there, but ultimately a huge incident that has ruined a couple of lap times here in qualifying. Of course, the stewards will have a tough challenge here today around a track of 16 drivers. It may just be a case that safety cars may have to be called this track. Very liable to getting blocked out on track. So they will be looking to make sure that they have themselves no real worries out here in terms of any driver incidents here today. Of course, a track which doesn't have many overtaking opportunities means that you sometimes have to be a little bit more creative with your license to go out there and overtake. Baxter over the line looking to start a flying lap right now is the Scotsman who has been flying time and time again. So we will very much see how this will work for him as he looks to put a little bit more daylight in, and you're not going to find any now. Sam Carpenter's just gone fastest on a 108.151. Sam Carpenter taking the fight to his teammate then on pole position for the moment with 5 minutes remaining here in qualifying. Every position becoming a key scrap at the moment as drivers look to try and find, well, who can I be next to? Who can I be quick with at the moment as they look to go on through? This is going to be tough. You've got the likes of Vela and Galea, 7th and 8th position at the moment. The two GT Omega cars there, the RPM Esports team, trying to have some good progress up through this one. But this is going to be key as Baxter has a huge issue down at the Rascas. Got a little bit held up. They're heading through the final corner, and the driver holding him up slightly there was Alessio Spinelli. So Baxter cannot find the improvement that he needs on that lap, and he's running out of time. 4 minutes to get himself a chance of putting that lap on the board. Remember, Capamagian is there in 3rd position right now, and this is crucial because if the race does finish with Baxter in 2nd and Capamagian in 3rd, it's going to be a very, very close fought one. See if the title goes all the way to the next round. Most likely it will not, as that would be Baxter's title. If you are liking what you are seeing, like, share, subscribe, do everything you can as Matthew Galea goes 4th on a 109.4 as he has found himself a bit of improvements there. You can do so and follow all of the content at World Pro Racing. There is some brilliant stuff coming up in the not so distant future, so make sure that you check out everything that is going to be happening on our end of things. But for the time being, just a handful of minutes to go, 3 of them to be precise, and it is going to be a close fought battle at the moment. Keep an eye out on this as these times are going to need to be finding improvements. Carpenter not out on track with 2 minutes, 50 seconds to go, but you need a bit of space around this place. If you don't have spaces, Velada moves into 9th place overall on a 109.8. If you don't have the space, then you are going to be in a whole world of trouble dealing with drivers who may be a little bit slower, upwards of 6 seconds to Nane Colas, who is struggling around here today. That's going to be crucial in terms of the way this is going to be run. You need some space out on track. Carpenter pulls himself up onto the road. Capamagian's already out there, as is Craig Baxter, who is on a lap and flying here through the opening sector. Now into the right to Casino Square and over towards this turn 5 corner, which becomes so crucial in terms of maybe you can have a lunge. Lowe's hairpin's going to be a little bit chalked up, held up there through that section. That's not going to be useful, but ultimately now, next right through Portier, Baxter has got to find a place on the lap where traffic does not become a factor. Remember, it is a 5 points margin difference for 1st to 2nd, 2nd to 3rd, and then 3rd to 4th position, as well as 4th to 5th, and 5th over to 6th. From there, it is 1 points differences from all of that. So every position being worth 5 points right now means that Baxter only needs to finish 1 point, 1 place really, ahead of Capamagian. It's beat him, and the title is his at the moment for Baxter. It is a pole position though, 108 flat, and he will not have any more laps to go and make that a reality. So Sam Carpenter, Capamagian, they've got to find more. Capamagian has improved to just 0.2 of a second back at the moment as Galea goes for a spin. His race is over for qualifying at the moment. Capellini, he won't find any improvements, but at the moment, what can Sam Carpenter do? He's heading himself up for his final lap as he heads himself to Casino Square. For Capamagian, he will have one more after this as he goes into the fantastic chicane section on the run now to back. And this is going to be key to see as drivers will look to try and find improvements. Like some Nick Bracci is in 7th, Zongoli 8th. Dean Vella will not find any more improvements in 9th position at the moment. So anybody out on track who thinks they can find it, well, now is the time. Here comes Capellini. He's got one more if he wants to try and get it going with 15 seconds over the line. Nothing doing on that lap. He was gearing it up for this one final flyer as he goes through. Look at Sam Carpenter, though, heading himself through the second of the swimming pool. Timer is about to expire. Vehicle's gone off in front of him. That could be a little bit dangerous as they go on through. And oh no, it's gone horribly wrong. There as he goes to that section. Lap has been ruined for Sam Carpenter with a driver hitting the wall down at Anthony Noakes' corner. And that was always the worry around this place, that the lap could be ruined, not by your own fault. Carpenter starts no higher than 2nd. So now Capellini, what can he do at the moment? As Amelie here into 10th place at the moment out on track. Capellini making his way now towards the back corner. This very fearsome left-hander always turning away into the swimming pool. A big key battleground will be that swimming pool section. That's where the downforce is needed. And on the brakes into Larascas. Needs a good Anthony Noakes here for the run to the line. And is there going to be improvement? No, there is not. So he will not find himself going faster. Lorenzo Amelie definitely not out there going quicker. And Lorenzo Capellini, we believe, is not out there on a flyer. So qualifying is over, it seems. Baxter will have pole position for the 3rd straight with Sam Carpenter in 2nd. Capellini will start from 3rd with Lorenzo Capellini 4th and Matthew Galea in 5th place. It's Fred Borden in 6th, Nick Bracci 7th, Flavio Zongoli in 8th, Dean Vella 9th and Lorenzo Amelie in 10th. Following that, Giancarlo Villada, Daniele Spardi, Alessio Spinelli, and then you've got Sheldon Scott Muscat with Martin Garrido and Nane Colas making the 16, 6 seconds adrift. We're going to pay some bills, though, here with World Pro Racing. We'll be back in just a moment with more after this. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
secret like a child, you wanna keep it, but your shiny eyes reveal the simple truth.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to your Thrustmaster World Pro Racing F19 short series here on the World Pro Racing YouTube channel, Facebook and Twitch channel as well. Make sure you like, share and subscribe for more great content that is there and available for everybody to watch, as we are just moments away from the start of racing action here at the fabled Monaco City Street Circuit, which has proven time and time again to be absolutely magical around this place. Of course, this Thrustmaster short series is powered by Thrustmaster and, of course, is there helped with Melita Gaming Malta. And visit Malta after everything has cooled down, ladies and gentlemen. We all understand where we are in the world at the moment, and we're just giving you some ideas after everything is all there said and done. But over and done with is the warm-up, and now there is going to be some real true tests. And next to the seas, the high seas, of course, of the Mediterranean, as they all try and prove their mettle, their worth, with a qualifying that was very interesting. And this will be a race that will be one worth watching here. So keep an eye out on this. This is going to be where you start trying to work out where are you going, where are you battling here over 40 laps worth of racing. Baxter will be on pole position with Sam Carpenter alongside the two teammates going at it. with Luis Felipe Capamagian starting third, Lorenzo Capellini fourth, and Fred Borden in fifth. Then it's Nick Bracci and Flavio Zongoli with Dean Vella and Giancarlo Vallada. Then it's Lorenzo Emili rounding out the top 10. Daniele Spardi leads Alicia Spinelli. Matthew Galea with Sheldon Scott Muscat. Martin Garrido there in 15th place even. And Nane Colas in 16th overall as they make their way for the one formation lap out here on track as they will funnel it single file and make their way up the fantastic rise from Saint Devote, the iconic rise, all the way towards Casino Square at turn number 3 and 4 out on track. It's a wonderfully built circuit as you pass that very famous casino. Of course, EPT Monte Carlo often finds itself in that famous venue. Of course, for those who do like their poker, we do not encourage anyone to gamble, but watching is surely fine as Craig Baxter makes his way down the hill from the Lowe's hairpin and into the Portier corner, famous for Ayrton Senna finding himself in the Armco with nobody there to really challenge him in terms of the race that he was running, and ultimately cost himself some 10 championship points on that day. So into the fantastic right and left, they come along with the prime overtaking opportunity here out of the tunnel into that chicane for moving himself to the final part of the track, which is very much normally, I would say, parkway would be the way to say it. There's a lot of open tourist attractions. You can walk down that section of the road, and then you head yourself into this lovely La Rascas section, which has had changes over the years. Used to be a lot more of a left into a right, and now is just a small flick left into the right after the building had been renovated. So Baxter crucially on the inside. Carpenter lining up his vehicle, very interestingly pointed straight at the inside for turn number 1. I think he knows exactly where he wants to go here in this one, as they'll wait for Nane Colas to line up as the 16th driver. From there, the lights procedure will start. They'll wait for 5 red ones before they get themselves the green flag call to get themselves underway for racing. Welcome to Monaco. It's the crown jewel of any sim race. And in just a moment's time, it starts right about now. Good start from Baxter and off the line. Already Capamagian trying to get a good run. Has the insides. They head through to turn 1. Little bit of contact as they go through between first, second and third. Capamagian still trying to fight through. One drive goes straight on. Bang! Contact. Immediately it's happened. Carpenter into the Armco and away he goes. He is out before this has even started. Unbelievable scenes then as he's gone on through. Sam Carpenter is out of this race. His championship dreams and aspirations are dashed right before turn number 1 out on track. So now all of a sudden, what's there? Contact. Sheldon Scott Muscat into the wall with Zongoli and Garrido there just behind dealing with it. Spinelli in the mix as well. So Sam Carpenter out of this one, but crucially at the front, it is Craig Baxter, Luis Felipe Capamagian in second. Stewards will have a long word because they were all very aggressive off of the start. It seemed like room was very hard to come by at the moment. Capellini third, Borden fourth, Bracci up into 5th place, Dean Vella 6th, Daniele Spardi there in 7th position, making his way to La Rascas as they head on through for some brilliant racing then after the opening lap. Capamagian within half a second at the moment and needs to stay in contact here. Has to be ahead of Craig Baxter come the end of this race. If he does so, the championship goes to Spielberg. If he doesn't, then it's all in a bit of a pickle as they head themselves on through in this one. But keep an eye out on all the battles going on out on track. Giancarlo Vallada also under pressure. Matthew Galea in the mix as well. It's a tough place to go and make overtake as the likes of Dean Vella makes his way into the Lowe's hairpin as he tries to follow as the trains start to begin here around this fantastic place of battling, of racing, and has been a prime candidate all the way since 1950 for what true racing has been all about, as there are no moves heading into that chicane section out on the road. But now you start thinking about strategy, because it is so tough to go and make moves around here. Questions become, tyre lights become a little bit easier. Do you go for a one-stop call, or are you going to decide to try and gamble on these tyres, make no stop each day around a track, which can be very good on its tyres from time to time, depending on the driver. So that could be something just to watch at the moment. Baxter and Capellini already having themselves nearly 3 seconds to Capellini here in third place overall out here on the circuit here at this point in time. Only Carpenter out, as we have said many a time before here in this one. But at the moment here on lap 3, the battle going on. Nick Bracci is looking a little bit behind himself at the moment, as he's also part of that same team which houses Baxter and, of course, the retired Carpenter. He's in 5th place right now as he heads himself through the right-hander of Portier and underneath the Lowe's Hotel, heading towards that chicane one more time on the brakes and looking to try and extend his gap that he needs, as Borden trying to stay in touch with Lorenzo Capellini. This is going to be a tough battle, as Sheldon Scott Muscat has dropped positions here and has dropped his front wing to boot as well. So what has happened to Sheldon Scott Muscat? He had lost his wing already, heading himself down the hill, and that one wasn't going to be very useful as he went on through. No grip there on the front, and in fact, he's lost his front wheel, and he is out of the race. So Sheldon Scott Muscat is the second retirement here today, as he has ploughed it into the wall. I'm trying to work out exactly where this is. I think this is down. Oh, it's up and over to back. So he's gone up and over. The car set fire, and ultimately he is out of this race very, very quickly. Not ideal at the moment. Everybody stuck, though, as Fred Borden has got through on Lorenzo Capellini here, and he's done that one on the run down the hill. So out of turn 4, there was contact on the wall at Casino Square. He caught the arm code in Capellini, and that gave Borden the pick down the inside that got him the position. So all of a sudden, Fred Borden now onto the podium. Then you got Capellini, Bracci, Vella, Sparti, Amili, and Velada, Galea on the back of this as well. A train stemming back third all the way to 10th position. Meanwhile, at the front of this field, Luis Felipe Capellini in second position, desperately trying to stay within 1 second at the moment of his rival in front, Craig Baxter, and he is struggling to get himself within that 1 second window. So Capellini has a long way to go if he wants this race to be anywhere close to his. Of course, that incident at the start under investigation at the moment for what happened between himself and Sam Carpenter. Not the first time they came together. They came together a week ago, which was going to be crucial in Spain. They came together again. Capellini, though, still, look at this. Jarno Trulli would be proud of this train. Bracci and Vella and Sparti and Amili and Velada and Galea all there, trying to make sure that they are not going to be in any form of issues in this one, as they all flood themselves towards this fantastic section of road down at the chicane. Once again, Fred Borden pulling out a gap of 1.3 seconds already. Capellini is looking like he is looking backwards here in this race, and will have a very long run of things from now to the end of this one, since he's only done a 10th of the distance when they cross the... Oh, now what is going to be an 8th of the distance. They cross the line. 5 laps now score completed here in this one. Baxter, not the best of laps. Gap halved here to Capellini, who's managed to claw that gap all the way back in once again, and is keeping very nice in terms of this one. And at the moment, getting word in from the race stewards at the moment is that the incident between Luis Felipe Capellini and Sam Carpenter is a racing incident. There are no penalties for that immediate crash, and I'd call that right decision there in that stage. So Capellini's title hope and the championship remains alive here at Monaco, with Baxter having to do only what he needs to stay ahead of that car behind him. It's that simple. Look at Capellini, though, tucked up underneath, not really having to deal with too much of the dirty air effect around this place. Of course, with the lower downforce that they've got, it is going to be a little bit tougher compared to what it was a week ago. But now you start looking at this from Capellini. He is desperately trying to open up an opportunity to make this move through. Anthony knows he needs to set it up, and he will have DRS all the way towards turn number 1. Sander Vott out on track, but cannot get up the gears enough to get himself into that place. But already 8 seconds the margin here as Borden is in 3rd, Capellini 4th, and Bracci then in 5th place. Daniele Spardi and Lorenzo Emili 7th and 8th. They look like they might be close to making some overtakes. The 2 teammates there at the moment needing to try and make some progress. And this is where you start wondering, when does strategy become the right call out here on track? As Zongoli even now will get a drive-through penalty at the moment, and this drive-through penalty will be his contact with Alessia Spinelli, which caused Sheldon Scott Muscat to hit the wall on turn number 1. So a drive-through penalty there becomes very, very key in terms of the way that one goes. Daniele Spardi with a huge slide coming out of Portier, trying to put the power down. He's just got away with it there as he hits the brakes into the next section, and he gets way too much curb. He's got to be careful he doesn't cut that section too much. The stewards are having big looks at cutting the track, and he will get himself just a little bit of a warning. Huge slide through Anthony Nogues, though, for Luis Felipe Capamajan, and all of a sudden that gap back to 0.6 of a second. He needs to go careful. 0.6 is about that margin where you don't want to be running yourself into any troubles out on track. So we'll be hoping that there will be time that we'll go on to get those moves. Matthew Galea, though, with the DRS wide open, not close enough to get past Giancarlo Vallada. You're almost hoping for a mistake there through the final section of the lap to really open up that opportunity to make the move. And it is showing at the moment that Giancarlo Vallada and Matthew Galea are having a really good run of things at the moment in 9th and 10th position. Here at the moment, we are on lap 8 out of 40 as Vallada really closes up to the back of Lorenzo Emili through the Lowe's hairpin. It is a concertina-style section. It's always a lot of slow sections around this track as you funnel your way down the hill past the hairpin. And some have said that this track, time and time again, they don't need to race here, apparently. They don't need to have racing around a track so tight, no overtaking. They say it's a paint-by-numbers track here. Once you're in front, that you cannot overtake, you cannot pick up that win. But sometimes I say history, legacy does have to be respected as Capamajan again pulls that gap within 0.3 of a second and is really giving Craig Baxter the pressure cooker right now. Baxter's just got to drive perfectly here from now to the end, and this will be his championship to be dealing with at the moment. Knows that the cars behind, like Borden and Capellini and co, they are a mile down the road, and they will be a long, long way back for the way that this one is going to be challenged, as Zongoli here is missing his front wing. So something has happened to him heading through towards turn number 1, was it maybe, where the front wing has been dislodged. In fact, suspension damage means that he is out of the race. He did have a drive-through penalty, so on the brakes he goes into turn number 1, loses the rear end, and into the fence he goes. And Flavio Zongoli's race then all but over as he smacked hard into the tyres and the arm, or just the Armco even, so to speak, but he is out of this race then, and that brings us down to 13 drivers out there on track right now. So question becomes here, as they will start lap 10 out of 40, the 1/4 distance mark already made. Who decides to make the call, come down in and make a stop? Because this is what these drivers in front, Baxter and Capamajan, are worried about. If they pit right now, they are going to fall right into that window of Galea and Vallada and be right on the back of a very, very long, very, very tough train to go out there and make some overtakes. That's going to be the key to how you win this race. You need to get ahead of 3rd position, have some clean air, and go out there and attack, go for the 1 stop. It seems like what one driver will do, the other driver cannot do. It may just have to be the no stop today that gets it done, but we don't know how much those tyres are going to hold up. We know that they are a little bit easier on the tyre wear from previous races where it has been 2-stop strategies for the most part that have got the wins sorted, but maybe, just maybe, there could be a way where a no-stop today works around this track. It's 29 degrees ambient and actual here at the moment, so that's key to how this race is going to be run, as that pack that we were talking about has started to splinter from third place. You've got now mini packs forming, Borden, Capellini and Bracci holding themselves together at the moment. Then you got Vela and Spardi together, and then following that, a 3-car pack of Emili, Velada and Galea. And Galea's got a really good run, but he gets a wiggle as he comes down that very small drop that there is out of Anthony Nogue's corner, and that ultimately costs him any run of a chance here up the hill after Saint-Devote towards Casino Square. He is really underneath. Is he going to dive to the inside? Oh, yes, he is here, trying to go for it. Oh, a bit of contact. And Velada there, getting that tap sent to the outside. Didn't think there was much in that. Galea had the inside there as they went on through. It's such a tough place to hold too wide through there at Casino Square. You need a lot of faith in your battling partner, so to speak. And Velada, just the smallest tap, found him into the Armco. Questions on the suspension now as he tries to test it out. Is there enough damage where I may have to come down in and make a pit stop? That would be the last thing on the mind here as they head on through. Crucial, though, at the moment is that Craig Baxter once more has broken out that 1 second margin. It's up to 1.2 now at the moment. That's all happened in that final sector where Luis Felipe Capamagian just has a huge slide on those tyres. That won't be doing them any good at all as they go on through. So Capamagian, outside of a second, needs to work hard to pull that all back in at the moment. So that's going to be key in terms of the way that race is going to be done. So Capamagian currently in second, now 1.7 seconds back of Craig Baxter, who may have just found the breakaway that he was hoping to find out there here today. Issues for Daniele Spardi. Is this team orders going on for Daniele Spardi up the hill? No, he hit the wall actually, heading through the big rise up towards Casino Square. So Spardi's hit the wall and ultimately heading through the next right-hander. Has he just had another loop? Yes, he's hit the Armco again, heading through out of Casino Square. So twice Daniele Spardi flirting with danger, and ultimately now finds himself in 8th place, looking backwards at Matthew Galea in 9th overall. So this is really not good, and Daniele Spardi might have to come in here on lap 12 and make a stop, as Luis Felipe Capamagian has made the call on lap 12 to come down into the pits then. This is a big, big decision from Capamagian to make this pit stop now. He will fall behind quite a few drivers, and he'll have to hope that they pit pretty quickly if he is to get going. He'll come out behind Lorenzo Emili in 7th place, so Capamagian has to make some moves here. He's got ahead of Matthew Galea. That's going to be key as Galea, his teammate, runs up the hill, will not make the move down the inside into Casino Square. So now it becomes interesting. Daniele Spardi off and away, off of his pit stop that he has had, as Craig Baxter right now has already put a lap on Nane Colas, with Martin Garrido also down in at the end of this one on lap 12 to make his stop. So this is going to be crucial to see where everyone is going to be heading out in all of this. 2nd, 3rd and 4th though on the road. Now has the Nane Colas car to try and get by. This is going to be interesting, I think's the word for it right now. Very interesting how Nane Colas is going to deal with it, and he will just drive straight on, and we'll let Borden and Capellini go straight on through. On the brakes then, next right coming up through Larascas into Anthony Nogue's corner, and there is still going to be line of stern, but Capellini trying to get himself close here as Lorenzo Emili dives down onto pit lane then, makes his stop, releases Capamagian there as he goes on through. But again, look at this up the hill from Capellini, within a 10th or so, can make the move at Casino Square, but chooses not to at that point in time. We'll have to play the waiting game as Giancarlo Velada also dives down onto pit lane at the end of lap 13 out on track. So look at this though, a little nose there from Capellini down the inside coming out of the Lowe's hairpin there. It's not often you see a move made at that section of track as he tried to get himself through, but ultimately one where he will still have to stay behind just for the time being as they go on the brakes once again. And look at how much Nick Bracci is starting to close down on this train. It becomes a good battle here at the moment. It is worth noting that Matthew Galea is starting just to cut that track maybe a little bit too finely, and it might be something that the stewards might just have a look at here with the way that he is running at the moment. Oh, there's been an issue here. It's down onto the pits then. Come a couple of drivers there. Fred Borden, I think, and Dean Vella both coming in. So that was interesting there from Fred Borden. Heading through La Rascasse, an issue as he went on through. And exactly what that issue was, well, coming into La Rascasse, he went. It seemed like he was all in nicely. He tried to go narrow for the pit stop, and Capellini was having none of that as he wanted the inside. So a little bit of miscommunication there. In and out comes Fred Borden, and that actually promotes the likes of Capamagian. Up into second, in defence! Capamagian's found the Armco. Unbelievable scenes at the moment. I believe Baxter had come in and made his stop as well. So this is key to how this race has gone. And at the moment, oh my goodness me, the title may have just been decided as Capamagian had found a way through as he went down in far too deep into the fence. 3 drivers getting caught out by that. And all of a sudden, it is now about recoveries here. Capamagian will have to get his new front wing on as Galea will make her way through. Bracci had his issue, Capellini as well, and Craig Baxter, wowee, has found himself now in an acre of space and now just has to finish this race, surely, from this point onward, as in comes Capellini, in comes Bracci, in comes Galea, in comes Capamagian. Craig Baxter has a pit stop on the field at the moment. This is what happens when you pit early at Monaco. You get caught in traffic, you start making mistakes, you miss your braking points because you're eager to get through. It happens just like that. As now into second position goes Lorenzo Emili, Fred Borden in third, Dean Vella up to fourth, and Nick Bracci leaves the pit in fifth position. Galea in sixth, Capellini then in seventh position, and Capamagian now will fall outside of eighth place with Spinelli moving up ahead of him. So Capamagian now in ninth place here, and Daniele Spardi's missing a wheel, and he's missed a wheel for a while. He has tried to get back home to the pit like Michael Schumacher at Spa 97, and ultimately his race is done. So for Daniele Spardi, with no tyre on that vehicle, it's going to be a tough pit stop and a tough pill to swallow for him, as he will now find himself at retirement central as well. Change of position here, and Emili's missing his front wing. So Lorenzo Emili through the tunnels lost his front wing. He was in second position then, and it's all happening here. And at the moment, this is what happened as he went on through. On the brakes he would go, and he's been run into the back of straight away by Fred Borden going through. Borden missing his front wing as well, missed his braking point, ran into the rear, and Borden now having to make his stop as well. So now all of a sudden more drivers running into big issues, and this was the Monaco that people were hoping was not going to be the case. Baxter holds a 28-second lead at the front of the field over Dean Vella in second and Nick Bracci in third place. It is Galea fourth. It is Capellini in fifth. Sixth is Alicia Spinelli, and Luis Felipe Capamagian finds himself in seventh position right now. Side by side out to the pits, Borden and Emili. Emili will drop behind here, eighth and ninth. The pair of them are at the moment, as we are on lap 17 out of, well, now lap 18 out of 40 at the moment, with just how much of a margin Craig Baxter has at the moment, as everybody else has run themselves into an incident here and there. Lorenzo Capellini, though, fighting for fourth position with Matthew Galea at the moment, and this is going to be a key little scrap. Remember, the lower positions in the championship mean quite a bit. Galea in a best fourth place at the moment. Dean Vella in a career best second right now. Spinner, and that's Luis Felipe Capamagian down at the chicane. So he's had a moment all on his own. We'll go back to it there as Luis Felipe Capamagian and Matthew Galea are getting warnings here for cutting the chicanes a little too finely, and this is what happened to Capamagian on the brakes. Hit his mark, and then rear steps out on him as he tries to get the turn in. So a little bit too much trail brake for Capamagian, and he has to try and get himself back going again. Drops even more time in terms of the way this race is done. Galea now has lost the position to Lorenzo Capellini. That one done into turn number one without any worries at all through that section of road. And now this becomes a case of, well, just manage this one all the way to the end as the halfway stage. We're still not even there yet at the moment as Borden now, he's got to try and find a way past the lap traffic, and all of a sudden Lorenzo Emili getting a little bit squirrely there. It's very bumpy as you head out of the casino square and then down the hill towards the Lowe's hairpin, and Emili proving that better than anybody else as he tries to get by Fred Borden as quickly as he can. They are a minute off of the race lead at the moment, and we'll find very, very soon that there will be a Craig Baxter approaching behind the pair of them as Borden on the brakes here. Looks maybe an attempt, and Borden's going to have to go straight on here, and that's not going to be ideal. A little bit of a touch behind there from Lorenzo Emili, who couldn't get to the outside quick enough, so Emili has to stay behind. That was a chance. He forced the mistake out of Fred Borden there, but could not get that move done, and Craig Baxter, all of a sudden, is struggling a bit with the traffic. That gap, which was 27 seconds, 28 seconds, is down to 25 seconds now out on track. So he is starting to just drop back a little bit and just manage the race the way he needs to. He knows he only needs 6th or higher at this point to win the title, and he is in a dominating position right now with the way this race is being run. Dean Vella is holding station in second. Remember, he's having to push because of Nick Bracci, who is there in 3rd place at the moment, who sits just 2 seconds back. That gap now back up to 26.7 seconds out on the road at the moment here as the battles continue. Now 7th, 8th and 9th as Capellini here really struggling around this Monaco street circuit here. He knows that he is under pressure, and it is Fred Borden who's going to come to the inside. There's damage surely for Capellini, and Borden goes around, and he'll have to do the Grosjean spin to get himself back going again. 2 positions gone. How there was no contact and wings flying off everywhere and bits of carbon fiber virtual bodywork, I do not know. But Borden somehow keeps it going in 9th without hitting absolutely everything right now. Drive-through penalty for Fred Borden for the incident he had with one driver of Emili. So Fred Borden is going to drop back from this one. Here comes Lorenzo Emili now down the inside of Capellini into Sandevot. And the move is done with DRS. So if you said you can't overtake around this place, my friend, you are sorely mistaken. You can at this moment. But now Dean Vella is starting to look behind him. The gap 1.5 seconds between himself and Nick Bracci, who will want the 1-2 after being in 3rd position. Could have been a 1-2-3 at Spain, but the brakes failed on the last lap, and he ended up with his race over and done with before he got there. So now it becomes a real scrap. 1.4 seconds between these two. And Dean Vella, looking at how early they've come down in and made their stop, this may just have to be a 2-stop strategy between now and the end of this race as they move on forward here for this one. It's going to be a game of chicken on who finds themselves a nice bit of clean track to get themselves out going. And it is worth noting we are down to 12 drivers here in this race. As now Fred Borden looking like he's going to try and get past Capellini. He does have a drive-through penalty that he does need to serve, so that is going to be key for him to deal with at the moment. Capellini, though, does need to be a little bit concerned here with the fact that he is struggling with the damage that he's got, so he is trying to limp it home like Daniel Ricciardo did earlier. But look at this, just for the time being, that gap for Dean Vella, well, it's now under a second here, all of a sudden, 9/10, so that middle sector not working for Dean Vella here, as he has very much just been the quiet drive over the course of this race so far. Hasn't really needed to worry here in this scrap for 2nd and for 3rd position out here on the road, but of course he has done very, very well here to be in that 2nd place, and Nick Bracci knows he's going to have to try and find a way past the RPM Esports car quicker and sooner rather than later in terms of the way that this one is going to be run. So Fred Borden right now is put 1 lap down by your race leader, Craig Baxter, who will now see that his title rival is in front of him. Oh, no! That's Borden into the wall through the first of the swimming pool chicanes, and he is out. He is out. So now we're down to 11, as all of a sudden, Fred Borden, just like that, a violent crash through that section. That was certainly not what he wanted to see. So Fred Borden does not need to serve his drive-through penalty. He is out of this race after smacking the wall hard. And now Craig Baxter has a lap on who he needs to. Luis Felipe Capellini out there at the moment. The battle, second and third, the closest on track at this moment in time, as we see some drivers having some pretty good runs of things at the moment. Worth noting as well that Giancarlo Villada is trying to chase down Martin Garrido as well. We'll give you some notice on how close that is going to be the longer that this goes on. But Craig Baxter, what more do you need to say, has been negotiating with the traffic fantastically, as he has been just running his own race at the front of the field. As all behind, that's Capellini, who's gone for another spin. And that was not part of the plan for him as he was going through. He is struggling under brakes now. It seems like maybe the wheel has itself a bit of, I would say, a lateral look to it, with the fact that he may be dealing with steering angles not being what he wants. On the brakes, he's done exactly the same, trying to catch the spin, and ultimately the car snaps the other way. So that is what you call the tank, and the tank that slapped. So going through there, vehicle stopped out on track, trying to let drivers through. That would be, didn't quite catch who that was actually going through that section. That might have actually been Martin Garrido going through, and it was. So Garrido letting through Capellini and Galea as quickly as he possibly could. So there's some good heads-up driving there from Martin Garrido, but that will now mean that he is behind Giancarlo Villada in ninth place. So Villada moving up into ninth, who is one lap down at the moment in this race. Doesn't have to really worry about too much what going on from there, but it is still second and third, the closest scrap out on track at the moment, as they are 27 seconds off of the race lead and heading up to lapped traffic in the not too foreseeable future. That is Nane Colas that they will need to get by, and Nane struggling here today, it seems, in terms of his pace, in terms of what he is capable of doing. As you can see, he lets him go through in the tunnel. No Schumacher-Montoya incidents there as they head on the brakes into the left-right chicane that comes up along. And of course, that Legends Trophy did see Juan Pablo Montoya race and do very well. Second place behind only Jenson Button. So nice to see some brilliant racing going on between them. But Dean Vella trying to deal with Nick Bracci, wanting the 1-2 for the team as they go on through into the right. And now Vella's going to have to start making his car the widest car in all of the Principality, as the DRS will be open for Bracci, but he will not be close enough to make the move into turn number 1, Sandoval. So again, it is that waiting game which is so common around this track. How many times have we said it? The waiting game becomes a key battle point. Capellini has closed back up to Lorenzo Emili here in 6th and 7th. Worth noting that Alessio Spinelli is only a couple of seconds behind Matthew Galea as well. So 5th and 6th could be on the cards for position changes as well. You will not write anything off around this place. I'm not even calling a race victory a certainty at the moment for Craig Baxter, the way that this race has gone. So much attrition around this street circuit. 5 retirements from this race. Sam Carpenter, Sheldon Scott Muscat, Flavio Zongoli, Daniele Spardi, and Fred Borden as well have all come down in and have retired their vehicles through one way or another out there on the track. But more importantly than that, at the moment, there has been some pretty good racing out there at the moment, and Matty Galea is now finding out that Alessio Spinelli wants a top 5 finish here today. Small puff of a lockup from Galea as he takes a lot of that curb as he goes on through. That's going to be crucial here in terms of the way that he's running his race. He's got to keep his car wide, and it seems like all of these vehicles that are in the GT Omega colours are looking at defending, except, of course, for Capellini, who's now dropped a fair ways behind Lorenzo Emili with all the damage that he has on his vehicle at the moment. It could be a case where Baxter actually starts trying to lap these drivers, Spinelli and Galea, in just a little bit, as down into the pits comes Martin Garrido. He will make his second stop then of the day at the end of his 24th lap of racing, as he would go on to start lap 25. We are on, of course, lap 27 now of this race for Craig Baxter, as he goes on to get himself going. And Bracci's lost his front wing. Nick Bracci has lost his front wing, and he has lost it a fair distance around the lap. And he has done so, I believe, that will be on the run through Casino Square and onwards from there. So that is a big shame for Nick Bracci. Another incident that has cost him. He'll have to come in and have a stop, and he will now drop behind the likes of Capellini and co. as he gets a new front wing, a new nose cone on that vehicle. Nick Bracci, oh dear me, it's not been what was wanted to have seen. As we had a look here, you see he's already lost his nose cone. You've already just seen heading through the tunnel, so it has been a long way back for Nick Bracci. But Dean Vella now has 8 seconds to Lorenzo Capellini now in third position, and that will give him just a little bit of a safety barrier. Matthew Galea will now move up into fourth as Alicia Spinelli will dive down onto the lane as he has dropped himself back a fair bit, I think is the right way to say, over the last couple of laps there has Spinelli. So he dives in, he makes his stop, and he will look to try and get himself out and going again. Nick Bracci resumes racing in fifth position. Sixth place is Lorenzo Emili. Alicia Spinelli is now in seventh, which now means there are only 4 drivers here on the leading lap, and Spinelli's going to come out pretty close to Capamagian here, and I'm not sure he's going to be up to speed quickly, as Capamagian will now pull himself in. Dean Vella pits then from second position as he goes on through, so ultimately not close enough was Capamagian there to make the move. Alicia Spinelli holds on to the seventh, but second position in, and that will release Lorenzo Capellini then up into that second place. Vella getting a new fresh set, and he'll be looking to go pretty soon. There's a big gap between himself and Matthew Galea at the moment, so looking like he's just waiting to get himself off and going, and there he goes as he gets himself off of the Jackson away, and we'll be hoping that he is going to be out ahead of his teammate, but he is not. So Matthew Galea moves up into third. Fourth now for Dean Vella, and of course Bracci is a whole lap down, and Craig Baxter may be coming to lap these drivers in a moment. He's yet to come down in and make his second stop. Same for Lorenzo Capellini, but you may not choose to at this point in time, with now what will be 12 laps to go as they cross the line. Or sorry, I will correct myself then, as they will have 11 laps to go as they cross the line. Starting lap 30 soon will be Craig Baxter. He's on lap 29 at this moment in time. So the two teammates, third and fourth, Dean Vella, Matthew Galea, and they've just kept themselves out of trouble relatively compared to everyone else. It's been that sort of race as Lorenzo Capellini comes in to make his stop. He was 8 seconds, remember, behind Matthew Galea. He's got the tyre change, and he's gone very, very quickly through that stop. So it seems like he is going to be a mile ahead of Galea and Vella as well. So Capellini not having to deal with the drive-through penalty system for cutting the track as much as the other drivers are. So Lorenzo Capellini is going to come out in second position, and crucially there will be a bit of traffic to deal with to get by, and that is Giancarlo Vallada. He will have to try and find a way through. Race leader in though for the final time, and that is Craig Baxter. He should have a very, very comfortable stop here. Up on the tyres, down he goes, away he is, and you can see he has got absolutely everything and a bit more in terms of his margin at the front to work with. It was a very accomplished pit stop, and his margin now becomes absolutely massive. Will go through Alicia Spinelli to unlap himself, but only for a brief moment. He will have to let himself go again very, very soon, as now lap traffic becomes the key for Capellini. He gets let through by Giancarlo Vallada in that situation. Capamagian back down in onto the lane as Galea, side by side. He's going to fight with Dean Vella here, and Vella's not going to like this here, scrapping it out for that third position, that podium place. Both of them want it, part of that GT Omega RPM esports team, as they go through into the next chicane. So close, but at the moment, no changes. Dean Vella, remember, 5 seconds. The gap is to Nick Bracci, who can still sniff a podium from this position, so keep that in mind as this one goes on. The more they fight, the more they'll allow Nick Bracci in to maybe have a chance of a podium here today after everything that's gone on. Lorenzo Emili is in 6th place, Alicia Spinelli and Luis Felipe Capamagian in 8th place at the moment, as lap 31 about to start for Craig Baxter. His lead 41 seconds at the front of the field over Lorenzo Capellini, with Galea and Vela still going at it side by side on the way to the Lowe's hairpin. And Vela, no room to get himself alongside. He maybe tried to commit a little early to side by side through that section. Saw that Galea was struggling on the tyres a little bit, and it does look like there's two different compounds at work right now. You've got the soft and the super soft, and at the moment the soft is going to struggle here. This is going to have to be defended around the outside, contact with the teammates as they go through. In fact, that looks like a hard tyre there for Matthew Galea as he's got the white walls on that vehicle. How often do you see the white wall tyre come onto these vehicles? So that's a bold call from Galea, the white wall going on. Vela struggling, and you can see how much it's hurt because in the space of about a lap, there's the gap. And there is Nick Bracci who's caught them. So Nick Bracci absolutely flying, 5 seconds gone in the space of 2 laps. But now he's got to find a way past the 2 battling teammates who are refusing to relent and yield. Slow out to turn 1. Goes one Mr. Matthew Galea. They're side by side. The teammates come together. Dean Vella's in the fence, and it's all over for him. He was really, really looking aggressive, and once you get bogged down, you start to get frustrated. Dean Vella is out on lap 31 out of 40, lap 32 even out of 40. Dean Vella. Oh, that's the cardinal sin of sim racing. You never hit your teammate, and rule 2 is you say it louder. You never hit your teammate. Dean Vella out of the race. So now Nick Bracci has an easier time of a podium as Matty Galea on the white wall tyres now has to really defend against a hard-charging Bracci who could still get himself exactly what he wants out of this race, which would be a podium and would give him some big points between now and the end of this one. So it is very, very simple at the moment for Matty Galea. He's got to try and hold back Nick Bracci, and he's got to hold him back as quickly as possible. He knows he's dropping a whole heap of time. Alicia Spinelli's a lap down. You don't have to worry about that between now and the end of this race. But the key figure is that of Craig Baxter at the moment as he has been romping away Bracci up the hill. Is there a chance into Casino Square? Thinks better of it. Saw the instant ahead. Will know there's a better place coming. And it is out of this right-hander and on the power. Is he going to get a nose to the inside here at turn 5? No, he is very much not. Lowe's hairpin. You could send a big dive, but again, he's not quite close enough here. Is Nick Bracci to go and make that move, which gets the overtake done. So still, the waiting game continues at the moment for Nick Bracci here as he looks to try and find a way through as they head through the tunnel. This could be the chance that he needs. Looking to the inside. Oh, it's defended all the way on the white walls as he goes very tight, does Matthew Galea. He is defending with his life on the harder compound of tyre comparatively between the two. And look at this through through the swimming pool even. It looks like Nick Bracci is desperate to find a way through, and he's just not finding it here over a Matthew Galea, who is an imperial iron wall. He shall not and pass through this section at the moment. And of course the stewards looking at every instant here. This could be key to the way this third place scrap ends up. It could end up in the stewards' books, mind you, as a drive-through penalty will be instigated to Matthew Galea for the incident with his teammate Dean Vella, and that's going to be key because that will release Nick Bracci up into third position. But you know what? He may not even wait for that penalty as he tries to go around the outside of turn number 5. Bit of contact between them, down on the brakes into the Lowe's hairpin. Once more, not close enough to make that move. So now the question becomes where Galea is going to come out after that drive-through. And the question becomes, where is Alicia Spinelli, who is, as these drivers head through the tunnel here, side by side, they're going to try and go around the outside, tries Nick Bracci. At the moment, it seems like you now got to start looking at, well, okay, Alicia Spinelli's only heading through Portier right now, and Nick Bracci's out of the tunnel. I think that Galea may just fall behind Spinelli here, and that will promote him up into 4th position at the moment. Craig Baxter's lead, though, is 47 seconds right now over the field, and that's going to be key. In comes Galea, immediately taking his drive-through penalty. He knew he copped it as he takes the longest time go down this front stretch. Alicia Spinelli right now heading himself into La Rascas corner, and then we'll have the next right that comes along, which will be Anthony Nogues. And Matthew Galea is only at the end of pit exit right about now. It's going to be tight between them. Oh, he's hit the wall on the exit, trying to put the power down, the torque too much. And Galea has lost the place to Alessio Spinelli, who is up into 4th place. So Spinelli has got the move done, and Lorenzo Emili's not a million miles away in 6th place. So keep that in mind. Capamaccia's lost another front wing in 7th place, and where has that happened for him? I believe it's happened at the place where it has happened so many times before for him, down. In fact, it's happened way before what has happened. It's been a torrid race weekend for Luis Felipe Capamaccia, who will have to come in and try and get anything he possibly can fixed. He's been dealing with damage all race long, and that will be the white flag that will be waving for him to say, I surrender in terms of this race. Only 3 drivers right now find themselves on the leading lap, and it could very, very quickly become 2 as Nick Bracci is due to be lapped at this point in time by one Mr. Craig Baxter as they both make their way through San Devot corner out on track. Keep an eye out on Lorenzo Emili as well. He is trying to close down that gap to Matthew Galea, and that gap looks around about 4 seconds at the moment. Remember, Galea on the white wall tyre, we've been saying for so long, as we are actually down to just 10 runners left in this race. The likes of Giancarlo Villada in 8th position, for example, as Capamaccia comes out of the pit. You've got the likes of Martin Garrido in 9th and Nane Colas 3 laps down in 10th, and there goes Villada, who goes for a little bit of an oopsie-daisy moment. He will continue. He won't dive down in onto the lane, but that's an oopsie-daisy that will bring Martin Garrido a little bit of hope that 8th place is in the offing potentially for him at the moment, as Nick Bracci falls 1 lap down out of the chicane. They're down out of the tunnel, so that means that only 1 driver is on the leading lap along with Craig Baxter, and that is Lorenzo Capellini at this moment in time. And Capellini has just had a really quiet race. Was up into 3rd and then stayed 4th, 3rd, up 2nd, has not looked back in terms of his run. It has been a brilliant drive by Lorenzo Capellini, but there has been nothing you could say today compared to this man, Craig Baxter. And people were saying, oh, I predict 20 seconds. I predict 25 seconds here today. How many people were thinking 50 seconds when this race started? It could very well be by the end of this race that the gap becomes a minute if things go his way, and that would be a real statement of intent as he looks to put icing on what has been a very sweet cake that he has been baking here today. Capellini does have a bit of traffic to deal with as he will be looking to go on through. So Lorenzo Capellini here in 2nd position, having a good run. Bracci 3rd, Spinelli in 4th, and Lorenzo Emili is now into 5th because he is through on Matthew Galea here, and he has done so into turn 5 around the outside. He's got the move done. Little bit of contact between the two, but into turn 5 he got it done. Galea was desperate to get it back down at Lowe's hairpin, was all out of shape, couldn't do anything about it. So Matthew Galea will fall down to 6th, and if his tyres hold on, 6th will be hopefully where he stays in this race. But now there are just 3 laps to go here at the Principality Monaco Street. And now for Craig Baxter, he joins a heritage and a legacy of Scottish winners here at this fantastic circuit, one of which has to be talked about, a man who has 3 Monaco wins to his name, the McLaren legend David Coulthard. So Craig Baxter follows in those same steps at this moment in time. He makes his way through the chicane for the time being. He has a couple of laps left to go. We have seen dramas, but it does look like it's a position where even if Craig Baxter does hit the Armco, does lose his front wing, he still has time in hand to go and make his stop. He's got 52 seconds over Lorenzo Capellini, who right now is only heading through Casino Square. If you want to know where Baxter is, he's just heading over the front straight right now. That is the margin that you are looking at the moment, and it looks absolutely huge at this point in time. The gaps, well, they have really opened up, and the story of this race has been about who hasn't made it compared to who has. It happened already at lap 1 when Sam Carpenter went off and saw his title challenge go up in a massive fireball with Sheldon Scott Muscat. He also went over in the opening couple of laps. Flavio Zongoli rage quitted after getting a drive-through penalty. He wasn't sure that he was supposed to have got. Daniele Spardi lost his front wheel, with Fred Borden having a massive accident, and Dean Vella coming together with his teammate for what was at the time a third place scrap at the moment. Looking at Capamagian actually right now, he is crabbing around the track, and that car does not look safe in terms of the way that he's driving it right now. As in comes Giancarlo Vallada to make a stop. That will give him a bit of hope here that Capamagian can just survive to the end, but Martin Garrido may actually pick up 7th place come the end, but there are only a handful of laps left to go here in this one for Craig Baxter, who starts the last lap then of this race and gets himself comfortably by one driver that he needed to at this moment in time. He has walked away from this field as he head up through Casino Square, a corner where everybody has gambled and quite a few people have come up with no chips left and maybe needing a rebuy with their vehicles. Down to the Lowe's hairpin, it's been a stay very welcome for Craig Baxter at this point as he makes his way through into the next right, under the bridge to Portier, and of course now to the fabled tunnel, which has seen so many drivers pass its way through in its history. Then you get to the chicane, and this place has been the prime overtaking place for many a driver. You cannot afford a single mistake through there, and Baxter is smooth and he is silky through that section. Through the right then of Tabac, into the swimming pool, and then Larascas and Anthony Nogues will remain. Garrido could fall a lap down here in front, but that's not the concern at the moment for Craig Baxter, who knows exactly what he's done. He has put together a flawless season so far, and it's one that rewards him with the title. Craig Baxter is the Thrustmaster World Pro Racing Short Series champion with a round to spare, as he has absolutely blown the competition apart here in this race by a country mile overall. The likes of Bracci has come home for third, Spinelli in fourth, and Lorenzo Emili fifth. Matthew Galea will get sick, but it will be a long wait for the second position driver of Lorenzo Capellini here, who is only just making his way into the chicane right now and towards the Tabac corner. He has been the driver that has needed the result today to really kick on for fourth place in the championship, and he now looks like he is surefire for that position overall, and even a little bit more if luck goes his way. Lorenzo Capellini is the only other finisher on the leading lap here today, and the margin of victory for Craig Baxter as he crosses the line is 57.7 seconds come the end. It was looking like it was up almost towards a minute at one point there. So Baxter wins with Capellini in second. Nick Bracci comes home third, a lap down. Alessio Spinelli comes home fourth with Lorenzo Emili fifth. Sixth would go to Matti Galea with Luis Felipe Capamagian in seventh, 2 laps down. That was the driver who needed to beat Craig Baxter, and incident upon incident had compounded his issues. Martin Garrido finishes in 8th place with Giancarlo Vallada in 9th, and the last finisher in 10th, 3 laps down, Nane Colas. He may have been 6 seconds off in qualifying, but that doesn't matter. He's got to finish over quite a few drivers who didn't. Dean Vella was one of them, as was Fred Borden, Daniele Spardi, Flavio Zongoli, Sheldon Scott Muscat, and Sam Carpenter. Those who failed to get it over the line today in what was a magical race. But at this point in time, we can start to bring in a few drivers in for post-race coverage, and someone who did finish in 3rd position overall was Nick Bracci, who stands alongside me right now. Nick, 3rd position, but that was a true race of attrition. Almost everybody there today finding something wrong with the front wing, especially in those early stages. It seemed difficult with a 7-car train.
Yes, it's never easy, because you make a small mistake, you can get bugged and you can't get the place back. And just make sure you don't get dirty, don't overheat the tires, don't drop on the power, as well as keeping people behind. It's never easy.
Well, it's never easy, but what you also have to realize as well is that a lot of drivers today let that frustration get them. Sim racers seemingly don't have the patience here today to get the results they want, Nick. But you're now looking at, say, you're fifth position, chasing down fourth and third, two teammates coming together, and then you just have the easiest time to make a move. Sometimes, Christmas does come a little bit early, but here on Easter Sunday, you're sure that the Easter Bunny's not bringing the Christmas presents?
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta make your own luck. You just gotta be there, and things happen like that. Slightly fortunate, we just gotta take it.
You certainly do, and now you start looking at Spielberg in what is 1 week's time, the final round of the season, looking to try and get good results going after what has been a very unfortunate season so far, especially with the brakes failure in Spain. So now you're looking at Spielberg, maybe looking to kick on, trying to get back-to-back podiums.
Hopefully that's the plan. The season's not gone as I liked. I should have done better here and in Barcelona. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Well, excitement will be very key for you. Before we let you go, Nick, shout out sponsors who gets it done for you.
Big shout out to VD Sport. Car's been great.
Well,
shout out to Sabre as well, Team Sabre. Fred, teammate. He was quick. He just struggled a bit in the race.
Absolutely, he did. And some good work, though, from you. A podium, which was absolutely wonderful. But Craig Baxter joins us right now, the champion of the series, with a race to spare. Craig, in terms of how that race went for you, you are not going to find anything that you are going to see being as easy as that. A 57-second victory around the streets of Monaco. Just sum up your feelings, because you have just blown this competition apart race after race.
I mean, it was, as you say, it's as easy as it gets when it comes to winning a race. I had a little bit of pressure initially. For the first 10, I was just managing tyres, managing pace. Then I decided to go for it a bit. Then I made a mistake at Casino. And then after that, I just sort of held back to make sure my tyres would make it. After Capellini made his mistake, it was basically plain sailing from there.
Well, it was plain sailing from there, but of course, every driver seemingly behind you ran themselves into troubles. Was it a little bit nerve-wracking just knowing that you just got to count down the laps for this one? You know you're in position to win the title. You just needed to be ahead of Luis Felipe to make that a reality. So in knowing the fact that you had to just count down those laps and make sure you finished, how difficult was lap traffic out there, knowing that you could not afford a mistake? Was there any additional pressure on you just to drive cleanly?
I mean, I took extra caution. I had the time. To be fair, most of the traffic was really good, barring one person, which I won't name, who wouldn't get out the way for over a lap. So hopefully the stewards dealt with that. But I mean, I didn't even realise I was in position to win the championship. To be honest, it's not the type of thing I really think about when driving. I just to try and take it lap by lap. That's the way you do it, really.
Well, that certainly is the way that you see a lot of drivers trying to get themselves going. But, of course, the championship's already done. A celebration race then for you, it would seem, heading to that fantastic Spielberg circuit, which is so different in terms of the way that this one is done. So we will see just how it works for you. But a celebration race surely at Spielberg? Yeah,
I mean, try and make it every single track a win, I guess. It's a shame I didn't get to battle today. Sam had pretty good pace, but unfortunately, the incident happened, which was unfortunate. It would have been interesting to see what the outcome would have been, and probably a more entertaining race for me and everyone else as well.
Well, before we let you go, Craig, to party and jump in the Azure Bay, so to speak, shout out sponsors who gets it done.
VD Sport, all the teammates as well that have been running. So Fred, Nick, Sam, everyone's put in a decent shift to get the car where it is and in position to take the championship.
Well, there you have it. Craig Baxter is your champion with one race to spare. Lorenzo Capellini comes home in second position. He will be translated by Adrian Fagaio here for us. So, Lorenzo, firstly, grazie on the second position, but how difficult were the early stages of the race, knowing that you lost third position to go back to fourth, and then everyone behind wanted to find a way through?
Allora, ti ha chiesto com'era la prima fase della gara, perché ovviamente eri in terzo posto e ovviamente poi sei andato a un quarto posto, poi c'erano gli altri che volevano pure passare.
Sì, innanzitutto sì, la prima parte di gara è stata un po' difficile, i primi giri reggevo abbastanza il passo, poi ho avuto un po' di problemi, ho fatto un errore e mi hanno passato, poi sono ritornato un po' con il ritmo buono e sono riuscito a stare attaccato agli altri, sono riuscito a passare il terzo. Abbiamo avuto un contatto, non ho capito bene se lui voleva entrare ai box oppure no. Comunque abbiamo avuto un contatto lì all'ultima curva e poi sono riuscito a passarlo e da lì poi ho gestito le gomme, fatto le 2 soste regolarmente e sono riuscito a scavalcare il secondo e il terzo e poi ho gestito fino alla fine, diciamo, cercando di non fare errori.
So actually, yes, it was a little bit difficult in the first part of the race, he said. Obviously enough, then when he lost the position, he started then managing obviously the race more better, losing positions and gaining positions eventually. I'm gonna just doing it in short. He also actually said he managed quite the race well to do the 2 normal stops he had to do, and then obviously it was like till the end managing the tires also.
Well, on top of that then, Lorenzo, you saw that this Monaco track was always going to be difficult. It stuck out in the calendar like a sore thumb. So now you've come off of the back of that race. Are you surprised at how many drivers found this circuit so difficult today?
Allora, tu eri uno di quelli che ovviamente è un tracciato un po' difficile, hai capito? È un tracciato difficile per tutti,
Sì, sì.
ma ovviamente hai preso il risultato quello che hai preso, ovviamente c'erano pure gli altri che ovviamente che non hanno finito la gara. Come descrivi tutta cosa?
Beh, diciamo che io le prime gare di questo campionato, le altre gare mi sono allenato molto poco, specialmente l'ultima perché ho avuto dei problemi con il volante e quindi diciamo l'ho fatte quasi a caso. Questa forse è l'unica pista dove mi sono allenato un po' di più, ho lavorato un po' di più sul setup e si sono visti i risultati grazie anche magari a qualche ritiro, però non mi posso lamentare, dai, speriamo di riuscire a fare bene anche la prossima gara e finire il meglio possibile il campionato. Oggi per fortuna mi sono divertito.
Actually, he said in the past rounds he didn't have so much time to train, obviously, especially in the last one, because he had some issues with his steering wheel. But he managed to get some training in for this particular round. He enjoyed it. He obviously said straight that obviously he got the result what he got, and thanks also to possibly some retirements, but he enjoyed the race from beginning to end today. So he's looking forward to continue obviously the next coming round on next coming round.
And of course, that next coming round is in Spielberg, Austria for the final round. A very different track to Monaco, fast flowing, all about high speed, high intensity braking zones. How is the difference going to be from you in terms of driving style comparing what is a tight Monaco circuit to a very, very quick and aggressive Spielberg track?
Allora, il prossimo round sarà Spielberg, tracciato di Spielberg, ovviamente è un tracciato un po' più aggressivo, più veloce, come sarà per te questo tracciato ovviamente è diverso da quello di Monaco, che è un tracciato più lento, più...
Spielberg diciamo non è tra le mie piste preferite, però cercherò di fare del mio meglio e vediamo come va la prossima. Speriamo bene.
So actually he said obviously Spielberg is not one of his favorite tracks, but he's gonna train obviously and make his best and see how.
Well, before we let you go, Lorenzo, shout out sponsors, anybody you'd like to thank.
Vuoi ringraziare degli sponsor o qualcuno che vuoi ringraziare?
No, ringrazio tutti i partecipanti al campionato perché mi sto divertendo abbastanza e ringrazio i miei compagni di squadra che mi aiutano nelle prove, nel setup dove non sono molto ferrato e niente, grazie a loro soprattutto.
He actually thanked all obviously the drivers of the championship because he's enjoying it and his teammates because they're helping him obviously enough with setups where he doesn't excel. So
Well, there you have it, Lorenzo Capellini with a very, very fantastic second place finish, the only other finisher on the leading lap. But unfortunately, that brings an end to proceedings from the Principality of Monaco. And a massive thanks, of course, to those who get it done. To Thrustmaster, of course, the main prizes heading Craig Baxter's way after a mega championship run of 4 straight race victories. He could clean sweep the season with a 5th in a week's time. Of course, they have also been supported by Melita, Gaming Malta, and Visit Malta after the epidemic is done. So make sure that you deal with everything you can, stay safe in every which way possible, and make sure that you have some fun once all of this is out of the way. But of course, a massive thanks also has to go to George Muscat, the Chief Race Steward, the Chief Race Director, Adrian Fagaya, who's also Chief Translator, it seems, for this broadcast today, and of course, Justin Mifsud has been on the cameras. I've been Jake Sperry, and the championship has been won at the holy grail of sim racing, the Monaco Street Circuit. You will very much struggle to find a better place in the world to race, to sim race, to do anything. But a championship is won, and it is won in dominating style. All that's left is to put the bow on top of the cake for Craig Baxter. 5 from 5 would say, I own this series. We'll see you for the conclusion of the championship at Spielberg in 1 week's time. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
but your shiny eyes reveal the simple truth.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.